Hello, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming, my friends. I want to talk about video game performance now. In a video, I've kind of been, on Twitter today, talking with other people, and it seems I've apparently lowered my standards for video games because I want to just play and enjoy the video game. So we got Jedi Survivor. Just came out. We got Redfall launching tomorrow with a 30 frames per second lock on Xbox Series X and S. And yes, I can 100% take responsibility for my channel hyping up 60 frames per second and next gen features and all of that stuff. We were kind of misled. We were kind of misled this generation a little bit, and the extensive cross gen video games that we were getting that were still giving us, last gen visuals with next gen performance, stuff like that. We all kind of, as content creators and as gamers in general, we all kind of, got into this mindset that like these games should be 60 frames per second. And now when I talk about Jedi Survivor being, playable and feeling fine and being just fine at, 30 frames per second, and then also being able to play it on the PC. Let me just explain. When I figure a game is buggy, busted, broken, and like unplayable, is if I literally can't load into the game and enjoy that game. If it's running along at 15 frames per second and it's not an enjoyable experience, that's my feeling. But being able to play a game at a baseline of 30 frames per second, that to me is not broken. That to me is acceptable, because we've been playing that for a very long time. So yes, 30 frames per second is acceptable, bare minimum acceptable. If the game on these consoles is running below 30 frames per second, then maybe I can see people coming out and completely bashing and trashing the game like they are with Jedi Survivor right now. I don't think that any of us really foresaw this coming. I think that we all pretty much, as content creators, pretty much thought that 60 frames per second would essentially be doable this generation, especially with better looking visuals. Like I really do think that a lot of us felt that way. And from what we were getting, we pretty much felt like, yeah, man, that should be the standard. But I no longer feel like 60 frames a second in these games should be the standard. Or like, I mean, yeah, you could argue that, but I feel like as long as the game launches at 30 frames per second and has a solid 30 frames per second mode, that game is finished. There's no more of this, ooh, the game's not finished yet. I don't I don't believe that to be the case. If the game has a playable 30 frames per second mode, that game is finished. That game is finished. It's complete. It's ready to go. If it has a 60 frames per second, that's a bonus. Especially if it's not a shooter or a racer and it has a 60 frames per second mode, that's kind of a bonus. To be completely honest with you, that is a bonus going forward. Now, the $70 price tag thing, we got to talk about this for a minute, and we do. I firmly believe this now. This is kind of my thinking going forward. If you haven't noticed, from the beginning of this generation, we have gotten far greater post-launch support than we ever have for any video game before. If you go back to the beginning of the PS4 generation, Xbox One, and even all of the PS3 generation, you will see that once those games shipped, maybe one patch, maybe two patches, they pretty much remained broken and in the same state that they were in pretty close to launch. Go back and try and play Assassin's Creed on a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360. Go back and try to play Watch Dogs, the original Watch Dogs on PS4 or Xbox One. We are getting far greater post-launch support through patches and updates, with new features coming, with games being a little bit better utilized, better optimized, much farther after launch than we've ever gotten before. So to sit and say that, like, a game is broken or I'm going to sit and wait for patches. That is kind of that is kind of like the name of the game, and because we've been getting more post-launch support, people are thinking that those games are broken much longer. As long as they have a 30 frames per second mode at launch, I feel like that game's finished. I do. And I'm not going to sit and bang on and bang on and bang on about performance anymore, because let's be completely honest, these consoles are pretty much weak when it comes to next gen features. When it comes to ray tracing, these consoles are weak. When it comes to 60 FPS and 120 FPS support, yeah, they can do it if you have last gen graphics. If you're okay with last gen graphics, then yeah, that's fine. Jedi Survivor looks significantly better than the first game does. When you look at the ground, you can see dirt textures. It's not bloody or blurry or muddy or blurry or anything like that anymore. You get actual pebbles. You get actual dirt textures. One of the things that I was like, wow, I really want that. If you go and you look at like the sides of the blending and how everything blends into the environment, significantly better. Everything looks incredible on that game. So I don't get this constant bashing of video games for clicks. That's what I think it is. It's for clicks. Everybody's upset about it. Everybody's like, nah, I mean, I'm playing it until it's 60 frames a second. Well, good luck waiting on that, man. Good luck waiting on that. Have fun with that, buddy. You have fun with that. I don't mean to like try to always, I really don't always try to be the dude that goes against the grain, but man, I love video games, and I started this channel to play video games. So if all we're gonna sit here and talk about negative is all we're gonna do is be negative, I mean, you can already see it coming out for Redfall. I made this prediction like right after they announced the 30 frames per second that they were gonna bash this game at launch, and here you go, man. You're gonna see it full force. They're gonna start bashing this game. So I just wanted to say that. If you guys like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. You have a good day.